All right, I meant to say this earlier in the video, but I messed up. I say it later in the video, but this tier list is going to be based on whatever the best version of that god is. So I know the aspects are here, and that's specifically what I'm talking about. Aspects will dictate how a god is. So for example, Ra, without his aspect, he's just a mage damage dealer. He still heals and stuff like that. But when you click his aspect, that's when he starts to become a really good support god with his 3 and his ult and everything. So I think that aspect, in my opinion, is going to be merited more over just regular Ra. You know, a god like Sobek, for example, I think his aspects is pretty not great compared to just regular Sobek, at least in my opinion. So I obviously go over that in every single god, but that's what this tier list is based off, just the best version of that god, in my opinion. I'll definitely go over Joust aspects at some point, tier list at some point later down the line, maybe in a week or whatever, I don't know. But, you know, that's basically what I wanted to say. But other than that, let's get into the video. What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the first Joust tier list for open beta to SMITE 2. I said that a little bit wrong, but here we are. So yes, we're doing a Joust tier list for SMITE 2. Been excited to do this. I've been playing a lot of games. I've been playing. I played every single god outside maybe a couple, but I've gone up against every single god / played every single god. So I kind of have an idea of how they're generally played. Keep in mind, always keep in mind, this is my opinion. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section down below. Try to be as respectful as possible. Obviously, you don't have to. You can be as rude as you want, but generally speaking, for constructive criticism and feedback, maybe be respectful. Not that many of you are, or many of you are disrespectful, but keep in mind, this is my opinion. My opinion may differ from yours. Just want to let that out. But if you don't know, this is your first time watching me, I play ranked Joust back in SMITE 1. I obviously played Conquest. I played all the game modes, but I generally speaking played ranked, Conquest, and Joust at a pretty high level. I'm not the best player, not even GM. I'd say I probably maxed out around like a master level player. So this would be a master level tier list, I suppose. But obviously there's no ranked in SMITE 2, so this is your tier list. We're gonna start out right now for open beta 2. Let's get into this. So as you can see by each tier list, I mean, you have broken, meaning they're bad. I'm sorry, extremely broken. Yeah, they're bad. Extremely broken, like they need nerfs ASAP. Then you have S, these are top picks. This would be bans normally, but we don't ban in yet Joust. In SMITE 2. You have above average, that's A+. Average for A, B, and then C. I'm gonna get rid of C, actually. I don't think there's a single god in SMITE 2 right now that I think is a C character. You can kind of, generally speaking, a lot of things are pretty balanced. At least compared to SMITE 2, most items you can go, you're like, it's not terrible. There are a couple items there and a couple gods there that obviously aren't doing as well as the others. That's obvious. But I feel like compared to SMITE 1, there were a lot more items and gods that were just really, really bad at the time. And that's probably a consequence to just SMITE 2 has been a little bit better at the devs. But also, there aren't that many gods. So certain gods that would be really, really bad aren't here, or bound to be bad aren't here because we only have about half the roster. With that being said, these are your average things, or your tier list. I did want to add A+ just because I feel like it's important. There's a lot of gods I was thinking about, like, they're not really S, they're not really A, they're kind of in between. But yeah, let's go ahead and start off with Agni. So I played a decent amount of Agni. I'm more inclined to say that I'm a lot better on mages than I am a lot of other characters, although the hunters in SMITE 2 I've been smacking with. And to be really clear, I guess, all hunters in SMITE 2, I feel like in Joust, are absolutely gross. I mean, certain things like attack speed cap not being a thing, their items being really fucking good, like Kins didn't get nerfed until a couple days ago, and that item was disgusting. It still is really fucking good. They had to nerf it, but it's still really fucking good, and so you can shred tanks a lot. And so with that, the Joust scene is kind of changed a lot. Double tank you can still obviously go, but I don't think is the meta anymore. I think it's the single tank double backline, whether that wants to be a hunter, 2 mages, and a warrior, however you want it. A lot of damage dealing characters are going to be a lot better than I think double tank from my experience, because being able to shred with hunters are really, it's really fucking easy, and there aren't a lot of anti auto attack items outside of maybe like one. I think there was, I don't remember the item's name, Leviathan's something, where it reduces strength based on auto attacks, which obviously all auto attacks are generally speaking strength oriented. Enough stalling, let's go to Agni. Sorry, I meant to say that earlier, but I wanted to say that then right now. So Agni, we're gonna go with Agni. I personally think Agni is A+. I played Agni a decent bit, and I played up against Agni's too. I almost kind of want to say A as well. I could see an argument for A and A+. I kind of go back and forth, but a good Agni is really fucking good. His ability to be safe. There aren't too many counter matchups except maybe like Kabrakan. I think Agni is one of the better mages in my opinion. He does a lot of damage, and he's always been notoriously pretty solid in Joust anyways, just the way his kit is. And then certain items that he goes into, allowing him to, I can't remember, the World Stone item allows him to reduce his cooldown even more by 30%, so his ult is up like all the time. And so I think Agni is a good solid A+. Anything else about Agni? Not really. I mean, there's really not a lot of mages, to be real, like that are like true mages that I feel like normally would be good in Joust that are better than Agni. Maybe except one god that I'm thinking of, I know. But he's like a really good true mage in my opinion. Oh, and I also meant to say he is displacement immune. Something just happened in my fucking room. Anyways, he is displacement immune, so gods like Ares that could normally counter him in Smite 1 don't necessarily counter him as hard. Agni can go beads, but also if he does save his 3 when he's getting ulted by Ares, he can just 3 away if you time it perfectly, and you become displacement immune. If you don't know Ares, which we'll talk about actually, Ares is no longer it's no longer like a instant teleport to him, it's more like a pull, and so you can be displacement immune because Ares ult is now called displacement, which is just a culmination of knockups back in Smite 1, just a little less OP. All right, my cat decided he wanted to be an asshole. Anyways, on to, wow, what a god, right? Aladdin. I think he's probably gonna be the one and only broken god in my opinion. He even got nerfed, and I was thinking it was a pretty decent nerf in terms of how many things were getting nerfed, and so I thought maybe, you know, one small nerf after another small nerf after another small nerf would actually make it to where Aladdin is no longer broken, and maybe like an S tier pick. And I can see someone saying he is S tier, just because of how he's not the hardest god in the world to play, but a good you have to, there's a high skill ceiling in terms of being a like really good Aladdin, and so I guess if somebody really wanted to could switch it to S. I could see it, but I'm thinking of like, you don't even need to be the best of the best in terms of playing Aladdin. Being a solid Aladdin, he just does whatever the fuck he wants, early, mid, and especially late game. I can't the first time I got into Smite 2 and I played Mordred and I went pretty tanky. I remember trying to 1v1 this fucker and I was like, okay, do fucking protections not matter? I looked at his build, I'm like, okay, this build's good, sure, but it's not anything like I'm outstanding where I'm like, oh, okay, why are these, you know, in terms of items, like there weren't any items that he was building. I was like, okay, none of these items are OP. Why the fuck is he murdering me so much? And that's kind of just when I first thought Aladdin was like, okay, this god might just be a little OP. We can go more into depth right now. I remember I was playing Squishy. I got hit by Aladdin's 1 and it did 1100 damage. It wasn't fully late game, so he was still scaling more. He did 1100, the first part of it, and then it, you know, he used his passive to bring it back. I did 1100 damage to me, and it did half my health. I was like, what the fuck is this? What is going on? And then he just ran away. I was like, okay, he just hit me for half my fucking health. So that's cool. His one hit's like a fucking truck. His movement ability, being able to not only run on walls with his 3 and then, you know, traverse the entire fucking map, but he's untargetable. You can't fucking get him. I think for mostly any god, maybe, I wonder how like Ares ult would work with him being in there. I haven't seen that. But even still, like his ability to just run on walls and walk away. And not only that, his 2 is a dash. And it does a fuck ton of damage. And not only that, if you use his passive, he just punches the fucking ground in front of him, the genie. And that does a fuck ton of damage as well. And now we get into his fucking ult. His ult is, you can have 1 health, you ult, and he gets all his, like, no, obviously not all his health back, but he gets like more than half his fucking health back. He 1v1s, let's say he kills the guy in there, he comes back with like 70% HP, and he's ready to go again. Like, I don't, like, that shit is disgusting. That shit is disgusting. Can't tell you how many times I'm like, all right, this Aladdin dies, sure. Then he ults, and then we're in a 1v1. I die. He comes back and just wipes my entire team. The ability to sway games makes him absolutely fucking broken. Not that this is new to anyone who's playing Smite 2, but if you are new to Smite 2, Aladdin's absolutely busted. Even after the nerfs, I played up against him. You know, he still fucking slaps. Now I've gone into a bunch of people who are not really good on Aladdin, so it's not like a brain dead character, but you get in like a few games, you kind of feel him out and know how to play him. He's really not that hard, and so I think Aladdin's obviously fucking broken. And not to fucking talk about his fucking passive either. He just revives once every fucking game, and then he can also just reset his whole entire cooldowns. So you throw all of his abilities out, reset his cooldowns, do it all again. Wild shit. Not that anyone's surprised, but yeah, I think Aladdin's broken. Anyways, sorry, not every god's going to be that in-depth, but Amaterasu, I played it up against some Amas, and I played Ama a few times. I don't feel like, and maybe I'm comparing her too much to old Amaterasu in Smite 1. Ama in Smite 2 to Smite 1 is what I meant. Ama in Smite 1 was one of the best warriors in the game. Hands down. I mean, you build items like Frostbound, Kins, and you just go full attack speed with tank stats, whatever. She was really fucking good. Not to say that she isn't really fucking good. I just don't feel her, like, being as good as she once was in, like, Smite 1. You can still get shit done. I think one of the biggest things is that there isn't the slow. That Frostbound slow in Smite 1, I guess, in my opinion, was really fucking crucial. Now, there are workaround items, like I think Pharaoh's, which is the old breastplate of regrowth, I believe, and then, you know, other items like Berserkers. There's another item, Stampede would be like a good workaround, because obviously you get a movement speed. On Pharaohs, you reduce their movement speed, and so, like, in a way it's kind of like that. But besides Hastened Fatalis, which I don't feel like is great on Ama, it kind of, you know, it's not as good in my opinion. From Smite 1, I think she's probably just an average god. You can obviously make her work in whatever late game, she becomes a lot better, but I feel like she's probably just average in my opinion. I've gone up against a lot of Amas too, and she just doesn't feel like I was scared at all for what she was gonna do. Now obviously she has some great synergy, but so I could maybe see A+, but I'm thinking for me A. On her, probably, I'm gonna put him. I'm probably gonna put him in S. Honor's definitely a top ADC. I think he's probably one of the better ADCs. You know, he's got his aspect, which is really good. CC immune ult. I mean, everything that you think about when in Smite 1 and Honor is almost the exact same. I think obviously he has really great or really high skill ceiling as well. So a really good Honor is gonna be a lot more impactful. Now I'm thinking about it, there are items like Hussier's, I think it's called. Let me see. Sorry, Hussar's wings. Obviously it's really expensive, but the fact that you can kind of counter on her with that kind of makes him a little less valuable. But I mean, it still costs 3,000, so I'm gonna probably keep him in S. And then, you know, items like Stampede, which can be fucking slow immune to. Obviously these are like counter items to them, so I'd still say he's probably one of your top picks. Again, I'm probably gonna be saying this a lot. I could definitely see an A+, but I think on her is definitely probably an S+ pick. Anubis, I'm actually a little bit surprised Fuck, do I want to put him in A or B? I will say that Anubis, I think with the new displacement thing, I think it makes Anubis a little bit better. You know, being immune to, you know, like Ares ult or whatever, makes it to where like Anubis can counter a lot of that shit that he normally wouldn't in Smite 2. With that being said, I think he does have some problems, obviously. He's very, he's still just, he doesn't really have a great getaway. Another thing, I think his 1 is a little bit faster as well. In his ult, he's just staying just obviously in one spot, and that was one of the biggest things. I could definitely see him in B, but I think honestly he's a little bit better in Smite 2 than Smite 1, and that also might be a consequence of how many gods are here too, but I'd put him in A. Aphrodite going straight to S. You cannot, I don't care who you are, this girl is S. Healing is really good in Smite 2, you know, in contrast to life stealing, especially for hunters. I feel like not really great, but for healing in Smite 2 is really fucking good. I don't think there's a lot of anti-heal items. Obviously, you still have like Divine Rune, Beat Stick, and then you have I don't remember. I always forget the names of the items, but the item that costs 2100 gold that does 40% anti-heal. It's a tank item. I can't remember what it is. Either way, that item, and you know, like we don't have anti-heal for hunters. You have Lermian's bow, I believe it's called, that does an anti-heal effect with its active. But I mean, outside of that, there's really not a lot of anti-heal, and I think with her being able to go super tanky, being able to be that tank, I mean, I've seen people put fucking Mirrodin on Aphrodite. You use your 3, you ult, then you have your 3 back, use your 3, then you hit Mirrodin, and then you 3 again. She's absolutely fucking busted right now, and that's not even in Joust, just in general, she's really fucking good. The more added effects they gave to Aphrodite, I think, made her a lot better for Smite 2. And in Joust as a 3v3, the healing is super fucking clutch with her ult as well. And again, a consequence of not having too many gods that can counter her right now, definitely makes her S. And I think also, I mean, there are other gods too, like Bacchus or Sobek, that can go anti-heal against her. But, you know, she's definitely hard to counter. I will say healing is really fucking good in Smite, especially with fucking Rod of Asclepius, literally an item and it's active that makes it to where no anti-heal works. I mean, obviously you get it once, but like the fact that you can just press that button, get increased healing, then you can just like spam all your healing, ult spam healing and shit like that. It makes her really fucking good as well. She's definitely an S. Ares, I'm gonna put above average. If they kept the same way Ares was in Smite 1 into Smite 2 in terms of displacement immunity and shit like that, I'd probably put him in S. He still is that anti-meta type of god. He still got his chains, his 2, his 3, and his ult. I put him down to A+ because of his ult. If you are displacement immune, you can very easily just use that ability and go away. You don't have to waste beads. You don't have to waste your, you know, CC immune ult if you have one. For example, if you're playing Medusa, Ares uses his ult. If you time it right, you can just press your 3 and 3 away, and your displacement immune, which means you won't get pulled by Ares. Not only that, you still have items like purification beads or talisman of purification, something. The item that basically is inactive that allows all of your team to have purification. To be purified by the beads or whatever. It's a tank item. I mean, there's just so many more ways to counter Ares. Now, with that being said, I do like Ares's aspect, which has a stun. That's relatively new, and so I played up against it a few times. It is pretty good. It's actually kind of weird. You're getting auto, then you get stunned. You're like, what the fuck just happened? That's so weird. It's definitely good. It's a little bit more selfish, which kind of makes me not think that it's going to be all that much more impactful for Ares, at least in a Joust setting. I think having the 2 is probably just going to be better, the regular 2. But overall, Ares definitely not as good in Smite 2. Definitely not as good in Smite 2 as he was in Smite 1. Still a very good god though. Athena, I'm going to put an A+ too. With the double squishy meta that we're in, double damage dealer meta, whatever you want to call it, Athena has a lot more value. With her being able to taunt and bring you in, this allows for your damage dealers in the back to fucking free cast. And I don't know about you, but whenever you get fucking taunted by Athena and you have a Medusa and like a fucking cuckoo and they just NATO you into that shit, it really fucking sucks. You kind of just die. And that's always kind of been her case, at least in the jousts, where Athena has always been a god that doesn't do a lot of damage, still can, but not like other guardians, but really shine in those metas where there were double backline. So I think she's above average. Bacchus, definitely one of these. I'm gonna be honest though, I've gone up against some Bacchuses and I really don't feel like his impact as much as I did in Smite 1. So I'm gonna put him in A+. I could see S. He's definitely like one of your better fucking guardians. But I think I'm gonna put him in A+, probably top of A+. Yeah, so I don't know if it's really the damage or just maybe I just don't feel him as as impactful as he was in Smite 1, or maybe I'm just I don't really know. I think he's like in a very similar spot. But every time I go up against a Bacchus, I don't feel his oomph that I did in Smite 1. I'm not really too afraid of his kit as much as I did in Smite 1. Now that's not to say he's very good, obviously. He's one of your better guardians, like I said. But I just don't feel him as much. But I can still see an aspect. Like, I think I'd rather have a tank Aphrodite than a Bacchus, I feel like. But that's just my opinion. Baron Samedi. Fuck, he's pretty good too. I played him a decent amount and I played him hybrid as well, and he felt really fucking good. His healing was really nice. I am gonna put him in A+ though. I think he still has his faults, being very you can kind of counter him a lot. I wouldn't say counter a lot, but he's what's the word? He's kind of like Anubis, where he kind of stays still. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep him in A+. But that's not to say Baron is really fucking good. He does a lot of damage. His healing is great. You build a Rod of a Sleep Piece, you can heal up to like 600, 700. I've done before. I have a Baron video coming out, I believe, soon as well. But Baron's really fucking good too. I will say his ult isn't as good. In Smite 1, there wasn't really a caveat to his ult. Now, where in his ult he sucks them in, you have to have some type of hysteria. I don't believe this was in Smite 1. I guess I can go check, but Baron Samedi's ult, at least in the Smite 1, it didn't really, it sucked them in right away. In Smite 2, you have to have a certain hysteria to suck them in, otherwise the suck isn't going to be as great. And so sometimes I've had it to where like I've been sucked by Baron and I'm just like, why? I'm just not moving. And so like he's sucking me in and I'm just staying still, and then he ends up not doing anything to me, and then I kill him. So I think that little caveat makes him a little bit less impactful, but I still think he's really fucking good. Okay, well, so clearly I'm just a dumbass, because yeah, gods have hysteria 30 above will give vortex more intensely. The god, where is it at? If your target is pulled above 30, the pull strength is increased. So I guess it was the same, but I swear to God, I've never had it to where I've never been able to get, or I haven't been pulled by Baron's ult. I mean, it's always been a point where like they would suck me in eventually. But in Smite 2, there's been several times where I'm just standing straight and I'm not moving anywhere. I'm like, why isn't he sucking me in? And so I don't know if it's Smite 2 thing, or maybe I just never experienced it within the entirety of me playing Smite 1. I can't imagine that's the case. I think it might still be a Smite 2 thing. I guess leave your comments if you know or not. I don't know. I just don't feel it as much. Maybe I'm missing something. Bologna, I'm going to bring in the same spot that Amma is. You can kind of go back and forth on them. Amma has some utility that Bologna doesn't have. Bologna has some utility that Amma doesn't have. For example, Bologna's 1 would be really good up against auto attack hunters, which Amma does not have, which in a meta where hunters are obviously really fucking good, has more value. But, Amaterasu, in my opinion, has her 3 dashes and silences, allows her to gain a lot of damage with her 2 and her ult. And her ult is a more, Bologna has a similar thing with Amma where it stuns and shit like that. So they both have that, but Amma has more DPS and more ability to get out of situations because she is CC immune. So, I mean, either way, I think they're in a very similar spot. I've gone up against Bologna. I played Bologna. They're fine. Nothing crazy in my opinion. I think I'd rather just have a pure fucking, you know, Bacchus, Ares, Afro, Athena, rather than, you know, like a AA warrior. Cabrakan, I think, is a top S. I mean, he was already really fucking good before the nerfs. I'm sorry, before the buffs. In JOUST specifically, I don't know about Conquest, but his ability to go even with more DPS with his 2, having 2 2s and his 3 being able to cripple, allows him to do way more in JOUST than he did in fucking SMITE 1, which is absurd, because Cabrakan was really fucking good in SMITE 1. So they upped his damage, flat damage, which makes him even better. And like I said before, I thought he was already a really top pick Guardian. So in my opinion, one of your top picks. I think he's better than like Bacchus, any of them. His ability to do a lot of fucking damage and have even more utility with like his 3. I think he's really good. Top pick in my opinion. Kurnos, I'm going to put an A+. I don't think there's really any AA hunter or mage where I'm like, this god sucks. That's just the state of AA hunters in my opinion. I mean, gods like Medusa that you would normally go strictly full damage, I think is still okay, but like the fact that these auto attack builds are so fucking broken in my opinion, you know, I don't think there's any hunter that I would really put in below A+. I guess we'll see, but Kurnos is A+. I've played Kurnos, I have some games coming out with him. I've carried games with him. My teammates weren't like terrible or anything, but I've had 2 teammates where, you know, they're just getting stomped, and then I just had to scale. I had to get some items, and then like midway through the game I was stomping. And obviously late game we won, because I mean late game hunters are really fucking good. I think that if AA hunters weren't so fucking good right now, I'd probably put him in average, but I do think that because of that he's A+. He still has the same issues that Kurnos has in SMITE 1. I mean, his 3 is definitely catchable. He doesn't have CC immune ult. He does a lot of DPS, but those are sort of the same issues that he's had in SMITE 1, but I still think he's A+. Chalk's probably going to go in A+ too. I think he's really fucking good. Does a lot of goddamn damage. His ult's obviously really good. His aspect is not the greatest. I'd rather have the healing, because healing is really good in SMITE 2 in my opinion right now. But you know, as a solo tank, I think he's really fucking good. He still counters a little bit. He counters, I wouldn't say counter, but he definitely does go good into hunters because of his 3. All right, Cupid. Cupid's gonna go in A+ as well. Yeah, I think he's a really good, obviously a good hunter. Hunters are really good right now. I only put him in A+ because I think there are going to be better hunters than Cupid right now, that do more than him. His ult's obviously really good. He has healing. His 2 actually does damage now too. And then he has his aspect. His aspect's not, I don't think it's all that great. I played it and I played up against it. It really doesn't feel all that great. I think being able to like have because it affects the 1, where like if you're in the 1 you get some type of, I can't remember the exact type of effects, but I think you get, actually we just look at it right now. What am I doing? Yeah, that's what it was. It was heal near allies by the explosion. That's what I was gonna say. I didn't want to say it just in case I was wrong, but yeah. So it also decreases enemy attack speed, and it reduces the damage of his heart bomb, which I feel like, you know, as a tank I suppose you don't really need it as much, but and I guess with Eros bow I do need to test that out to see how impactful that is. But the aspect that I used on Cupid before, you're really not in that area with his 1, at least enough where I feel like it's valuable, more valuable than just going regular Cupid. Also, I don't really know how I feel about tank Cupid. I get the idea, I just don't know if I'm on board quite yet. I guess we'll have to see, but I mean overall, as just a regular ADC Cupid, this is an aspect tier list, which I might do soon. Aspect tier list and JOUST, but Cupid I think is probably above average, or feels above average. I played him a couple times. Obviously DPS is insane once you get to mid late. That's with all hunters really, or ADCs, not hunters, because technically those gods or classifications don't exist anymore. But yeah, I'd say he's A+. Got a great getaway. His ult's very impactful. 1, 2, you know, all that regular shit that Cupid has. Just the fact that ADCs are really good. Danza, I'm gonna put an A as well. His aspect's actually really good too. There's been several times where I've confused enemies, and I've even confused fucking going up against Danza. I'm like, oh shit, which one's the real Danza? That doesn't happen too often, but you know, it happens every so often. His aspect's pretty nice. I like that. Having that extra DPS, taking towers and shit, you know, doing all that's really nice. Especially if you go auto attack speed, auto attack build. I mean, but he's a hunter. He's really fucking good. His ult's really nice. Nothing too much different. Obviously, he's got his leaf. Danzo was really a solid god anyways. Now he's more like an aspect and everything if you want it. So I'll put him in A+, as probably most hunters are going to be at the very least. Fenrir. I'm actually going to put Fenrir in average. I think Fenrir is a lot better in Smite 2 than he is in Smite 1. At least it feels that way. You can either go tanky, obviously, or, you know, hybrid damagey, and I feel like he's still pretty good. He does a lot of damage, pumps out those numbers. I still think you fall short, though. That's why I think he's average. I don't want to put him in below average. His ult, obviously, with the amount of, you know, getaways in terms of, like, the beads. I'm trying to think of the name. Talisman of Purification, I think it's called. You know, they have that. Obviously, you have beads and stuff like that. And then on top of that, the towers don't hit for anything. So I think the ability of Fenrir ulting into the tower isn't as great. But his damage and his overall tankiness, it feels like, is a lot better than it was in Smite 1. At least it feels that way. So I put him in average. Geb's going straight into S. Geb does a fuck ton of damage, and you don't even need his aspect. He just does so much fucking damage with his ult, his 2, his rollout now knocks up, so he's got so much ability to do whatever the fuck he wants. His 3 still have a shield, obviously. I mean, what more can I say? He's a really good fucking tank. He does a lot of damage, super tanky, sets up really well with knockups and ults. I mean, he's fucking amazing. One of your best supports right now. All right, then we got Hades. As much as I like Hades in Smite 2 more than Smite 1, I unfortunately don't think Hades is all that great. Every time I go into Hades, I feel like he does nothing. I played Hades a few times and he feels really underwhelming. He's got some cool, you know, unique things that you can do, like blinking, throwing out his 1 and his ult, shit like that. You know, Mirrodin works. Lifesteal is fine. It's not crazy on him. Like, I just don't feel lifesteal is as good as it once was in Smite 1. At least that's my opinion. I haven't really felt it. Like, when I play hunters, I'm like, dude, this kind of blows. It's a little bit better, obviously, for mages. A lot better. But I still don't feel like it's that impactful with Hades. I don't think Hades is all that great. He's going to be our first B. And you can kind of build him hybrid, just like in Smite 1, just not as great. But you can really easily shred him. A lot of guys can just get out of his ult. You have Talisman of Purification whenever you see him, so you're just going to build that item as a tank, ideally. And then he just kind of does nothing. Doesn't do crazy damage either. Hecate going straight into S. My god, this god, I love it. I've been picking up Hecate a lot more. Even with her 1 being a sneaky little stun type thing. I think it's she's really fucking good. She does a lot of damage. Her 2 does so much damage and it's so easy to hit. She kind of just free casts in the back. And then her 3 is really good too. Obviously, it doesn't, you know, protect against physical protections, but I mean, if you go up against magical gods, she can even sort of be like a mini support. I don't think she's quite S if she builds support, but her damage is absolutely insane. Her ult playability, high skill ceiling, does so much damage, and even at like low, she's kind of brain dead in my opinion. And she does so much fucking damage as well. She can get targeted down because she doesn't have quite a getaway ability. So a god like Bracken or maybe even an Ares, you do have to be careful about that. But you know, still very fucking good. Put her in S, one of the better mages. Hercules, I'm going to put an A+. I think he's obviously very good. Does a lot of damage. His pluck, his 1, 3. There's really nothing that changed too much about Herc. Still very annoying. Still very good. Don't think he's quite S, at least from my experience when I played up against him. I don't think he's uncounterable or like one of your top picks. But he's definitely one of your better warriors. Probably top 5, top 3 warriors in my opinion. Although there really aren't. Sorry, warriors. Not warriors. I keep thinking warriors. There's no such thing anymore. Top 5, top 3 bruisers in my opinion. Maybe not top 3 if we're talking about the every single god, but I keep forgetting that we're no longer warriors, assassins, mages, shit like that. But definitely A plus. Same thing with Hua Mulan. And generally speaking, most of these gods should be around A plus, A. That's where you kind of want to see them. Otherwise, things are just really unbalanced. Hua Mulan, really, really good. Her damage is nice. Hasn't really changed from that. I could definitely feel that. I can tell you. Mulan still hits like a fucking truck. And then everything else about Mulan is basically the same. I think she's very similar to what she was in Smite 1. A very solid, good, bruiser, or even support too. Definitely A plus. Izanami going into S. This one might be my more contentious one, I feel like. I don't feel like a lot of people think Izanami is very good. I think she's one of your best fucking hunters, I swear to God. Her DPS in her 1 with her bleed, her ability to go intelligence and strength makes her really fucking good. Her 3 obviously dashes away pretty safe, and then her ult. Nothing really crazy changed from her, at least from Smite 1 to Smite 2, except maybe her bleed and her her ability to go different types of items. Not that this item is particularly great, but I do like Bracer on her because, I mean, her autos do more and do more, and with XC, for example, and Kins, she's really fucking good. If it wasn't for hunter builds and shit like that being really fucking good right now, I'd probably put her in A+, but in my opinion, I think you're probably your top 3 or 5 ADCs. Jingwei, I'm gonna put her in A+. I think, normally speaking, I don't think she's all that great, but ADCs, it's OP. And her win rate's actually surprisingly high, at least in open beta 2. Hopefully the numbers are correct. You can kind of check you can check it on Smite 2 live. You can check the stats on the win rate of these gods. But I think she's really good. I could definitely see her in A though. If you wanted to argue she's A, I could definitely see it. But I think she's like low A+, definitely above average, because hunters are really fucking good. Who would have thought? Nothing crazy changed about her except maybe her ult, you're up in the air longer, and her 1 maybe, or 3 obviously too, you can glide to. That makes her a lot better too. And then there aren't a lot of gods that can counter her as easily as you were in Smite 1. Until Hunbats comes. Hunbats! When that god comes, I'm thinking he's probably going to be S. But he's not here yet, so. Kef Dog. I actually think he's way better in Smite 2 than Smite 1. I thought Kefri in Smite 1 was so dog-ass because he did no damage. His CC was so mid compared to any other Guardian you could go. But with his ability, with his 2, and it does like an area effect of like auto damage, I think he's pretty decent. And his ult, not the craziest thing in the world. I'm sorry, his ult is the best thing about his kit. His 1 isn't the craziest thing in the world, but he has his aspect now to where you can grab and do damage. So he does a decent amount of damage. So I can't say he doesn't do that anymore. It's just, he's obviously gonna be better Guardians in my opinion. His saving grace is his ult and his ability to do damage now. But his 3, it's fine. And outside of that, there's better CC lockdown abilities. But he's not bad. He's not terrible. I put him in A. I've definitely played Kefri, and I've got top damage as Kefri before. And I've seen other people fucking frag with Kefri. So he's pretty good. But I don't think he's A+, but you can definitely get some shit done with Kefri. Cuckoo, I'm gonna put an A+, obviously. I think a lot of this comes down to like they're only half the god roster. So normal gods that you'd be like, not as great, is because there are other gods that do what they do better or can counter them. But I think Cuckoo, nothing crazy to counter him. Kabrakan just is a new god, so I guess maybe that's one god you can think about that kind of counters. But even still, Cuckoo is pretty good. He does a lot of damage, ult 1, and then he's actually a lot safer than he was in Smite 1. Being able to throw your NATO and use your 2 to squiggle on out of there makes him a lot more safer as well. Super annoying. So I'm gonna put him in A+. Loki, I'm gonna put in average. I think he's only an average because he can one-shot. There are, the squishy metas that you've been seeing, the squishy meta that you're in, that you've been seeing a lot of damage dealers. You can definitely one-shot them with Loki. His build path is pretty good for that. I guess you could go tanked Loki. I don't really think that's great right now in Smite 2. He just doesn't do much like that. You got to pick your battles here and there, but he can still get locked down. I mean, if you play correctly, you can kind of do whatever the fuck you want to Loki. So that's why I probably put him in A. Medusa going straight to S. I think this is top 3 hunters, maybe even the best hunter in my opinion. I had looked more, maybe. I'm looking right now. I don't see a better ADC rest on that list. So, I mean, if we're going to put this in order, I think she's probably... Like, if you were going to ban gods, I would ban Aladdin and, like, Medusa. That'd be your first 2 bans, in my opinion. This god is absolutely fucking cracked out of her mind. Not only, you know, does her displacement immunity in her 3 just make her that much better, for the reasons I said before, but her DPS with the full auto attack build is wild. I have a Medusa video coming out after this video, and you'll see exactly what the fuck I mean. I was the same level as a Cuckoo, for example, and I shredded him with like 5 autos or some shit. I think I hit him with my 2, and then I used like 5 autos. I had a build online, but it wasn't like full build, and I just absolutely fucking annihilated them. So, in every single game I played with her, I'm going like fucking 10-0, 17-3, I think last game. I think I have a game I went like 17-3 or some shit. She's absolutely busted. I think she's your best hunter right now. She just does everything so well. And then her, obviously, her CC immunity in her a lot of damage too. Not to mention her full damage capability is really good as well. So definitely don't think it's as good as your full AA, but you know, really fucking good. Mordred, I'm gonna put in A. I don't think I've ever gone up against a Mordred in Smite 2 where I'm like, wow, I feel like I can't do anything. He has a lot of chain abilities, like he throws out his shit. He's sort of like King Arthur in a way, where he just throwing out ability. You kind of can get fucked if you're alone, like in a 1v1 setting. Unless you're an Aladdin, you kind of get fucked by Mordred just because of his ability to chain all of his abilities together. His ability to chain abilities, that's crazy. But overall, I think his pressure in Smite 2 and Just isn't really all that great. You kind of have to get close, and you know, when you're under a fucking tower and it's 1 lane, it doesn't seem like he's all that crazy. I mean, you have your 3, you can just shoot from a long way, but I mean, other than that, I mean, you have your ult, I suppose, but I just don't feel like he's all that great. I played him, he's fine, but I played against him, he gets smashed. I feel like most of the time I go up against him. Neath. Neath. I think Neath is an A+ too, man. I just don't feel like there's any ADC that's below A+. ADCs fucking absolutely eviscerate anyone. And you only have to get through the early game. You gotta get what, 3 items online? You get what, Braggy's Harp, or Bragy's, whatever the hell it is, Harp, Kins and Exy, and you're just smashing. You don't even need all that much to do so much. And I think she's obviously, I think she has a better case of going full damage like nuke, but I don't think she can nuke like she did in Smite 1. Still a lot of fucking damage, but you know, her ability to go that is also makes her better. But I think going your aspect and just going straight auto attack build is just so much better, and so I think she's probably A+. Maybe A, I don't know. I just feel like ADCs are just so fucking good. Nem, I'm gonna be honest, dude. Nem in her aspect actually fucking saves her so much. Obviously, she still has her dash can go in and out in her 3. Obviously, you CC her and she kind of gets fucked. But her judgment, like if she's at 1 health and you ult and she gets all that fucking health back, that's actually fucking insane. And so she can be like sort of your pseudo tank type of playstyle Nem. I've gone up against many of those, and they just fucking squirm. They just get out so many times. They do so much damage. They create so much pressure for the backline to come in. With that aspect, and I think she's definitely fucking A+ with that. I guess we could go with like her aspect tier list later, but like I'm doing a tier list based on like what is the best thing. So if their aspect isn't good, but their normal kit is better, then we're gonna go off that. But if, for example, like a Raw, what makes him really good is his aspect. So we're gonna go off what his best form is, basically. I guess I should have said that at the beginning. Damn, I really should have said that at the beginning, huh? Oh well. Nuwa. I'm gonna put her on average. I think she can go obviously auto attack based, which is definitely solid. You know, I don't think it's as good as all the other ADCs that could potentially go that build. But you know, Nuwa definitely a pretty average god. These are 2, 3, 1. She still has her problems, like her ability to, you know, die a lot because she doesn't have too much getaway. She's always had that issue, I think, with her 1 and her ult. That's basically all she can do is get away. She still gets caught out, so I'd say she's probably top A. Odin, dude, this god I feel like just doesn't do anything until late game, and even then. So Odin, I don't think he is all that good at all. I think this god kind of blows a little bit. So his ult, now that you're able to just get shell right out the gate, kind of makes him obviously worse. How many times I've seen people buy 3 shells and his ult is meaningless because they can just get out? Makes him just all the way down, like all the way down. I think they gotta change that or some shit because your ult is meaningless because they could just shell out. His ability to do a lot of damage is fine. Setup is okay. You have to hit your 3. His 2-1 combo just doesn't feel all that great, at least in Smite 1. Now, of course, you can still get shit done with him. But I played this god so many times, like I just didn't feel like he did much of anything until even late game. And even late game, it's hard to carry, especially with Odin. I'm putting him in B for sure. Pele, I'm gonna put in A. I think she's a little bit better in Smite 2 than she was in Smite 1, at least in terms of Joust. She definitely has like a little bit of a stagger with her 3, a little teleport, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Her lifesteal on her is actually pretty solid, I think. One of the guys I think lifesteal is really good on, and so I think you can kind of nuke better on this Joust map with what, you know, the state of Joust being able to kill like the backline. I think that's probably one of the biggest things, is that she can kill the backline a lot easier than she did in Smite 1, because Smite 1 was all about double tanks and she would just die and not even get a kill. But at least now, if you die, you're definitely getting a lot of kills. So I probably put her in average. Poseidon, I probably put in average as well. He got a buff. I think he was actually semi-decent in Joust before anyways, so I think he's definitely probably average. You still got your Kraken and everything like that. You can go auto attack base, which isn't bad either, so I probably put him in A. Raw, definitely one of your best supports. And even regular Raw does a lot of damage and shit like that. Super fucking fast. Not a lot of things that can counter him, but the support Raw is wild. You can go fucking Asclepius, Rod of Asclepius, and you just fucking heal so fucking much. Healing, like I said, in Smite 2 is so fucking good right now. And his aspect's one of the best aspects in the game, in my opinion. And I think that makes him an S tier pick. That's for support, really. This is really a support Ra. I'll definitely make sure to tell in the beginning that this is based off of the best version of each god. Sobek, I'm also going to put an S. I think Sobek is probably one of your better top 3 Guardians right now, without the aspect. I think his aspect is dog shit, at least Joust concerned. I don't know why you would want to do that, except maybe if you coming from behind and then you dash them like that. I would just pick Herc at that point. I don't know why I'd fucking do that. And then your scaling on your 3s changed or whatever in his aspect. I don't like it. I really don't like it at all. The pluck in Joust is so invaluable. I think maybe also another thing that's good with his aspect, if I'm being charitable, is that, you know, if you're trying to run away, you just dash through them. But as Sobek, I mean, sure, you want to be able to run away when you need to, but that's not like one of the, it's like a niche thing, I feel like, to really think about or care about. With that being said, though, I think Sobek, regular Sobek, is still very fucking good. Does so much damage. And not to talk about his fucking ult. Being able to fucking execute people with that big ass circle and a fucking tank is wild to me. I don't even know why they thought that was a good idea. And then you get your fucking health back if you execute. This guy definitely one of your top 3 fucking tanks. He's so fucking good. Just don't go the aspect. There's no point in going the aspect. Sobek, gross. I mean, you can blink in his ult too, which is wild. So if they run away, but nope, I'm blinking at you, bitch, and then I kill you because you have to execute. So fucking gross. Soul, I'm gonna put an A+. You know, generally speaking, Soul wasn't all that great in Smite, at least at the end of season 11, or maybe throughout the entire season of season 11, whatever. But Soul was pretty good. She's pretty good, and you can go like Kins and shit now, so her autos are smacking. Her mage build is fine. I'd probably put her in A if I were going to do like a mage build, but you know, her ability to go ADC, full ADC is really what makes her really fucking good. Her one's nice. Everything else is basically the same. I think Soul is definitely above average as the ADC build. You know, going Bragies, I don't know how I say it. Bragies Harp, and then you know, like I don't know. Obviously, you wouldn't go this exact build, but you can go like Kins. You can go fucking Bracer. I mean, there's so many other items. Demonic Grip or whatever. Is this what the item's called? And then you can even go full damage items too. Like, there's so many things that you can do with Soul, and I think that makes her a lot better in Smite too. But specifically, the ADC build is really nice. Susano, I played it against a couple Susanos. He's not crazy, but you can still get shit done with him. Obviously, if you're a better Susano, you're gonna get a lot more shit done. But like an average Susano player, not like the best Susano player, but a pretty, you know, solid Susano player, I think you could probably get things done, at least comparatively to Smite 1, which is why I say most of these gods are definitely playable and solid. Thanatos, I'm gonna put him B. I think his aspect makes him better for a tank, like a solo tank, but he doesn't have anything to other than being like a bruiser god. So even then, you're not really being a tank, you're just soaking up damage, I suppose. And then you feel a damage build, yeah, you smack or whatever, but a lot of things counter him. I mean, you're fucking, I can't tell you how many times I've countered Thanatos as a tank because I just use my purification talisman for my teammate. I've never gone up against a Thana where I'm like, wow, this Thana is really doing much. He'll hit you like a truck with his one, but as the game goes on, he's just so irrelevant. I feel like someone put him in B. The Morgan, I think, is actually pretty solid, pretty average, I'd say. She still falls in that trap of people not knowing how to play her really well. And I'm not even saying I'm a really good Morgan player, especially on controller. It's a lot harder, I feel like. But, you know, the Morgan definitely is a really hard god to play. You have to, you know, use her ult correctly and shit like that. But overall, I mean, I've gone up against some Morgans where I'm like, okay, yeah, she's definitely there. So, you know, she just still does a lot of damage. And her aspect's really nice, too. You can teleport and shit, which is pretty cool. And pretty fun. So I'd probably put her in A because of all that. Thor, I'm going to put in A as in, you know, average as well. I could see A+ if you want to put it up there. I played a few Thor games, and you can do some shit with this 2-1 combo as well. And, you know, even more now because you can dive the back line. And, you know, full damage Thor, I think, is probably going to be better. That or a hybrid Thor. I don't think a full tank Thor is all that great. But, you know, an average, or not average, a hybrid Thor or a full damage Thor is actually pretty good, not gonna lie. I played him a few times, he feels nice. Uller, definitely gonna be up here, definitely your top picks, for sure. Does a lot of damage, super safe, but this was already Uller's thing. History is a lot easier to hit now. Nothing crazy changed about him, he just does so much fucking damage. His autos hit like a fucking truck, I'll say that though. Several times I'm like, why the fuck is his autos hitting for like 200? I'm not even full built yet with his 2, obviously. I'm just like, dude, my autos are doing more damage than my fucking abilities sometimes. And so that's also another big factor, being able to weave in your 2. You know, really fucking good. I think he's definitely top S. Definitely one of your better damage dealers, like pure like ability based damage dealers. I don't really want to call him an ADC, although technically I guess you could lump him in there. I kind of see him as like almost like a mage in Smite 1, or like a pure damage god. That's kind of why I don't want to loop him in there, but he's definitely top. One of your best. He still falls in that trap though, very similar to Morgan. He's hard to play mechanically, not mentally, like the Morgan I feel like is, which I think also makes him, you know, less valuable in terms of like the general playability. But like you play him, and if you're hitting that game, you can carry games very easily. Vulcan, I'm gonna put an S as well. I've been playing a bunch of Vulcan games. If you know, I really like Vulcan. He's one of my better mages, and so with his stumper and his ability to go into different types of items, I think he's definitely S. In my opinion, I think he's one of your top 3 damage dealers right now. If I'm looking at it, I'm looking at 3. You're probably Hecate, Uller, and Vulcan are probably your best pure damage gods right now. So I think Vulcan definitely. I mean, he has so much DPS. As I'm playing Vulcan, I'm just like fucking pressing buttons, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's so many things I gotta do. But once you do the enough, you put your turret down and you throw out your 3 or 1, and you have your fucking thumper up and other shit like that. You still have your ult, but with that's good. That's like a good problem to have because he does so much damage, so much DPS, and obviously still safe, super safe, regardless of the fact that he doesn't have like a true getaway. He still has his 1 backfire and then his passive that makes him a lot faster. Pair that with Doom Orb and other shit, he's definitely a menace. Does a lot. And then you got 2 turrets up. 2 turrets is wild. That shit's insane. So that's definitely, he's definitely S in my opinion. I think he definitely needs a nerf a little bit. Yamoja, I'm gonna bring in below. I've only really played up against a couple Yamojas, but I think she just falls in the same type of trap where she is a high skill ceiling type of god. I could definitely see her being an A. I'll put her in A because I think I'd rather have her on my team than any of these gods. I definitely think she's probably, a little bit weaker on the side, but if you play a really good Yamoja, obviously, she's going to be really fucking good. And again, healing is a lot better now, so I guess that's another posit for her that I think is really good to make her, or posit a claim for her to be at least average. But I think you have to be a really, really good Yamoja to really make her shine, and I think these other gods up here probably do what she does better, a lot easier. Ymir, dude, Ymir is fun, dude. Ymir is not only fun, but really good. His wall now knocks up, so he can knock himself up and just like jump away. So he has even more mobility technically. You can hit them with the wall and they bounce, the enemy in front of you, allowing them to come closer. So it's almost like a mini knock up. And obviously his freeze and his 2 is really nice, and obviously his ult too. I think he's really good. Not only is he really good, he's really fun. As a pure traditional tank, I think he's one of the better ones too. So I'm definitely gonna put him in A+. Super fun, super good. And then finally Zeus. Zeus, another guy that I didn't think I'd put up so fucking high ever in my life. I think he's really good. Not only with his he can go so many things actually. I've been seeing some tank builds with him, like you go Yogi's Mask and shit like that. I don't know who I saw do that. That's not necessarily a traditionally good build. His ADC build's really fucking good. As I said before, ADCs are really fucking good. So I think Zeus being able to go into that type of build makes him a lot better. And obviously his full damage build is really nice too. I think his ADC build's obviously better because ADCs are better, and that's why I put him in A+. I won't put him any higher because I think he can still get taken down because he still has like a semi getaway, pseudo getaway with his 2, being able to like run faster and shit like that, or movement speed to go faster. So you can still get taken down depending on like the gods that you play. But I still think like his DPS is really fucking good, and you can go into so many builds if you really want to. But the ADC build I think is the best, and so I think he is an A+. And so there we go. I think for the most part this is pretty accurate. Most gods should feel like they're in A+. Then you have your top picks, obviously. B below averages, whatever. There's only a few here. And again, I can definitely hear I could hear some examples, or I could definitely switch some of these up and down depending what we're talking about here. So I could definitely see some of these gods going up or down, or I can hear an argument. For example, like Baron, if you want to say he's an S, I could see it. Bacchus too, I could see it. I don't personally agree, but I could definitely see it. That's not out of the realm of possibilities. Any other gods here that I would see? Maybe Amma and Bellona, but you got to give me some good claims. These gods, I just don't feel like are good at all. And then bringing some of these down, I could maybe see. Maybe Onher would be another one that you could bring down. And then maybe Uller, depending on what you want to say about him. I mean, just because he's not as easy, but I mean, his DPS is so good. You just hit like half of your shit and you're, still very good. But, I could definitely maybe see it. Other than that, I think it's pretty accurate. Obviously, lands up here. Fuck that guy. But there it is, the first Joust tier list for Smite 2. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me if you guys disagree. Again, this is based on the best version of it, whether it's with the aspect or not. I can go over an aspect tier list if you want for Joust, but like I said before, you know, a god like Medusa, I'm sorry, a god like Ra, for example, I think he's a better support with his aspect than he is a full damage. Not to say he's not as good, or not to say he's good, not bad, good. Not to say he's not good, sorry. I think his aspect's better with him in Joust, and so I think he's S tier because of that. I'm dying, I'm talking too much. Anyways, that's basically it. Tell me what you guys think. If you disagree, agree, let me know in the comment section down below. Again, this is my opinion. This is pretty new as well. I've only been playing Joust for about a month now. So I think I've gotten some things here. Has it even been out for a month? Was it the beginning of January? Not even a month. I've been playing for a few weeks. So I've gotten a lot of games under my belt. But as well as I've watched things. I'm not just playing the game, also watching things to see what see how others are feeling as well. But I definitely, you know, played a bunch, feel how they are, shit like that, and I feel like I got an accurate assessment for Joust. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Discord in the description down below as well if you'd like to join. Memberships are open for 99 cents a month. I believe tier 2 $2.99 a month. Obviously not necessary, but definitely very much appreciated. And then obviously my Twitch, that's what I wanted to say. My Twitch in the description down below if you want to follow. I stream Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and you know, sometimes throughout the week if I feel like it. So follow that if you'd like. But I think that is everything that I have for you. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching.